Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Do you want to die, Sydney? Your mother sure didn't.
Fuck you, you creep. Please don't.
Jesus wept.
Another sheriff, I got him.
I got plans for you. I'm gonna slit your eyelids in half so you don't blink when I stab you in the face.
You don't know what death is.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Hey, this is your host Trevor with Blood, Guts, and B-Movie Trash Talk, and we watch and review movies that you don't have time for. And as usual, I have my co-host here, Steve. Don't skimp on the sex, Norman. How you doing, Steve?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for asking.
Always.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Steve.
There won't be a time where I won't ask.
And hopefully...
unless it's out of spite.
Well, as you can tell, we don't have a third voice here with us today, but we're still going to grace you with our presence.
We gotta fucking slam this one out, man.
Yeah. Hopefully you had the opportunity to review the last podcast. It was a hit. We...
All the kids were talking about it.
we took a Hollywood, or let me say a holiday horror choice here and a fan favorite. It was My Bloody Valentine. Quite classy. Great film. Highly recommend it. Steve does as well.
Oh, yeah.
But just to let you know, definitely make sure you get that special edition copy so you don't miss out on all those sex-A scenes.
I checked on Amazon.
Sure.
Actually, me and my friend named Sean Crane looked on Amazon. And the problem is you have to now get the Blu-ray to get, I think, to get those extra scenes.
No.
Well, it wasn't very clear on it, but we couldn't find the... Like, there's just the shitty one available now, so... Anyway.
I think I'm still going to watch the shitty one just to see if it's still cohesive and works, but I could be wrong. But, yeah, definitely check out that review. You can always find our reviews at Podomatic.com. You can just go to the website, search B-Movie Trash Talk, pull up the episodes, or you can just click on the link there in our Twitter information. Or you can go to iTunes, always download the episodes there as well. They're free. If you're lazy, you don't want to do either of those, you can go to YouTube. And
I can come to your house and just rehash it.
Yeah, recite them word for word, verbatim. Or you can go to YouTube and you can listen to every episode we've done so far. But today we're going to be reviewing a gem. What are we going to be reviewing, Steve?
1982's Pieces.
Warning. What you will see in the movie Pieces cannot be revealed, cannot be described, cannot even be imagined.
Ooh, I'm excited about this one.
Directed by, I can only expect this is pronounced Juan Piquer.
Yes.
Simon?
Spanish director. I haven't done much research on him. Has he done anything else of significance or anything cool?
I only looked up to see where he was from.
Mexico? Where's he from?
You know?
Southern America?
No, I thought it was Spain, but
could be.
We'll just go with that because I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Budget
$2,032,311 according to Wikipedia, which that $11 you can rest assured was well spent, I'm sure.
That's the first time I think we've found a budget down to the dollar. Just pretty neat. Maybe next time.
I found them in Canadian dollars last time, but I just didn't count those. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, Canadian money. We're not mathematicians.
I tried to pay with a Canadian 20 once at McDonald's, and they were...
Did they laugh in your face?
Yeah, they were like, do you have any other money? I was like, this is all I got.
That's so funny. I've tried doing that a few times, too. Like, their money looks so much cooler than ours.
It's badass.
Yeah.
It's like hot pink and had people with weapons on it.
God. Yeah, I think I had like a Canadian quarter or something in it. Or $1. I can't remember what it was, but it was silver, and then the center had like a little gold, like...
Oh, I had one of those.
Yeah, that looks worth way more than...
Their paper money's fucking badass.
Quarter, yeah, and you'd think they'd take it, but I've tried putting them in vending machines and it spits it right out. They don't like that trash.
Even though it's like the conversion rate's probably, by this point, I can only expect, and I'm no economist, maybe more?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But let's jump into this review here. I've been excited to watch this and review it because I don't know, I've wanted to see it for a while, but I could never find a copy. And
You found a good-looking t-shirt, though.
I did, yes. This was a film I've been wanting to watch for quite some time, and I may have a billion excuses in the world, but that I didn't watch it, but now I finally did, and I'm stoked on it. All right, Steve. So I feel like right now is a time where you ask me a particular question, and I respond with a paragraph.
What type of underwear are you wearing currently?
My skin, I thought I'd freeball it. I haven't done laundry for a while, so I'm quite naked. Feels good, comfortable, loose.
It does, and the thing is, with your pants that are tighter, it kind of is its own underwear, and it feels much more macho.
I wear the slim fit jeans, so it holds my junk into place. Not as
no
good.
need for underwear as long as you're changing those pants every day. Fuck it. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I can't afford to change them every day, so I just wear underwear.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree. I don't know why people feel they need to change their Levi's every single day. I wear them.
You're rotating
quite a
those
few times
underwear.
a week.
You wear them until they don't hold up.
Yeah.
Until they start getting baggy. That's when you change them. But another question I have for you.
Sure.
If you could sum up this movie based on maybe what they would stick on the back of a box, probably about a paragraph or so.
Yeah.
How would you do it?
Whoa.
In yours, or maybe in Juan Picler Simmons approved words.
Juan Simmons. Yes, I could definitely do that.
Sexy hairdresser.
Yeah, it's something like a name on a fucking shampoo bottle that you'd see. But yes, while playing with the puzzle, a teenager is repressed by his mother, and he kills her and severs her body with an axe. 40 years later, in a university campus in Boston, a serial killer kills young women and severs their bodies in parts, stealing body pieces from each student. Now, Lieutenant Bracken makes a deal with the dean of the campus and infiltrates the agent Mary Riggs as if she were a tennis teacher, and together they work to find the identity of the killer. It's kind of a plot
That's
summary.
kind of a summary.
Yeah, but that'll
They're
do.
getting lazy with these days.
God damn, right?
Those fucking back of the boxes, they just give it away.
I found the back of the box, and unfortunately, I have a
Say
copy.
Read us your back of the box.
Okay.
For funsies.
For funsies, all right. Let me grab this. I've never seen a special edition DVD just simply talk about how great the DVD is. Not
in 16-bit color.
Not how great the movie is, but how great this DVD is. Like, high quality plastic. No.
You see-through box design.
Yeah. So, the back of the box I have here, it's the special edition Grindhouse Releasing presents. Now, oops, sorry about that. It says, you don't have to go to Texas for a Chainsaw Massacre, which I thought was fucking badass.
To set you up to be like, we're in for something here.
You're in for a treat. Now, it says, it's exactly what you think it is. One of my top horror films of all time, a masterpiece of early 80s sleaze, full-on chainsaw violence, absurd amounts of nudity, and the greatest ending in horror history. Eli Roth. Yeah. I don't really...
I don't put any stake into what that asshole says. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really...
Not a big... I mean, he did Hostel.
No, I don't hate anything he's done.
Yeah.
I
don't
put any stake in what he said. What has he done for me recently?
I guess there was a independent filmmaker out there that actually did like a fake a trailer to like a clown movie, and just for funny, but he put produced by Eli Roth, and it was just fake.
Uh-huh.
And Eli Roth found it and liked it, and actually helped produce the movie. So they turned it into a full length.
So that's what he's done for the clown guy. What has he done for me recently?
Yeah. Well, he hasn't put out anything.
I don't hate him though.
He has a new movie coming out. It's about natural disasters, kind of. I'm not too big on it.
Fucking phone it in. Let's get past this Playboy. What does it say on the box?
Yeah, but it says Perfect 10 by Chas Balloon, the Gore Score. Never heard. 2-disc deluxe edition,
yes,
special features, new high definition anamorphic digital restoration of the original uncensored version, optional Spanish soundtrack, which I would have loved to hear.
We demand. It's just mariachi band.
And also has the original score by Librado Pastor,
which sounds like you're fucking playing around in a goddamn Mario game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the same sound.
Special audio option, the Vine Theater Hollywood Experience, I haven't checked that out yet. Never before seen in-depth interviews with director Juan Paquer, or whatever his name is, and genre superstar Paul L. Smith. Gallery of stills and poster art, which the little mini poster that comes with this
That
is
was a
pretty
cool
fucking
poster.
cool.
I looked at it.
I like the poster. And liner notes by legendary horror journalist Chas Balin from Gore Score.
Okay.
But
Not familiar with his work
yeah,
or scores.
same here. I mean, I definitely will check him out.
I'll take
but
their word for it.
the special edition DVD, like I said, it's a Grindhouse releasing. Pretty fucking cool. It's 2 discs. It has a classy little poster. It comes with it. And
Spared no expense.
it was only, I got a used copy, I think at FYE for like $13. So it was a deal.
That sounds like a bit of a deal.
Yeah. That's a little bit of information off the back of the box, Steve, that you requested.
That's what I prefer. Why don't you tell us how this bitch opens?
All right. So, good old Pieces.
Let's see what makes Eli Roth's dick hard.
Yeah. So it doesn't jump right into credits, which, it's a nice refresher considering the fact that most of the movies we've been watching lately do that.
It jumps into 42 Boston.
Yes. Boston, 1942. You see a little boy playing with a puzzle, and he's singing this little tune. I can't remember how it goes, Steve. Put the pieces together, pieces.
He also fucking goes off on a bit of an ad lib about Humpty Dumpty, except for couldn't put the pieces back together again. What is this kid?
Yeah, he kind of incorporated
He fucking replaced Humpty Dumpty's name with pieces.
He did.
And he's singing about the new title, which I don't know if you have any information on that, but I read that wasn't the original
It wasn't,
title.
yeah. That happens a lot with these movies. Like, they're
Cheerleader
bought over and over again, and just for appeal and to get people to go in the theaters back then, they would change the names.
Dude.
A lot of them have multiple names.
The movie that I have called Cheerleader Camp, its original name is way better.
What is it?
Bloody Pom Poms.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. Why would you change
I named
the
a
name?
beer after that I brewed.
Ooh,
but
nice.
anyway,
What
continue.
Okay.
It's a spruce tip pale ale.
Oh, that sounds good. I'm about done with this stout, so maybe I'll have one of those beers you brewed, Steve.
I think not.
Okay. But it starts out, Boston, 1942. Boy's playing with a puzzle as he's singing the little Humpty Dumpty Pieces tune. Now, a mother walks in and notices that the puzzle he's putting together is actually a picture of a naked woman.
That's true.
Mother doesn't like that one bit. Now,
May I?
yes.
You're just like your father.
Yeah, she's not too fucking happy about that. And she basically states, "You're just like your father, and I'll kill you if I ever see this trash in our house again."
I do like that, though. That's Bernie Mac style.
Yeah, and then she smashes his mirror in the room, makes a
Fucks it up.
giant-ass scene. She then advises that he goes and gets a trash bag so
Give
she
me
can throw all this smut away.
And burn it! She wants to burn it in a plastic bag.
Yeah. See, that's how parents were back in the day, and that's why kids grew up with respect and respecting people around them. Nowadays, fucking kids are assholes.
They don't understand how useful a plastic bag can be in relation to burning.
It's true.
things.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I agree. Now, she advises he goes and gets a trash bag so she can throw all the smut and burn it. Now, as she searches the room, she gives Stupid the time to go grab an axe. She calls him stupid, which I think is just a cherry on top. Like, you're like, yeah, she's pretty strict, but now she's drawing the line. Your kid's gonna grow up and be a psychopath. You treat him like this, and he goes and grabs that axe,
Or a stand-up citizen.
or one of those post office workers that just fucking goes crazy and kills like 10 people.
Goes postal.
Yeah.
Post office worker.
While she's searching the room, he goes and grabs an axe and puts it right to her head and kills his mom.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he immediately starts chopping her into pieces to kind of clean up the mess. And as he's doing so, a friend of his mother's comes over and starts knocking the door, and he avoids it.
And for whatever reason, this is cause for concern, and the police constable decides to bum rush the fucking place and bust in.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was much.
It wasn't
time
even wait. It was
that
like,
passed.
excuse me, officer, this
Something's
woman's
wrong."
not answering her door. And he's like, hold on, let me butt fuck my way in there.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
But as they even try to call too. They're knocking on the door,
Oh, yeah.
then they try and call, and then that's when the
We're
old
not
lady,
fucking home, dude. Don't shoot the door open.
Yeah, and that's when the old lady goes and gets the police. But why they're doing that, the boy
I mean,
decides he's going to finish up the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while he's finishing up the puzzle, the cops come back and they decide to bust down the door like Steven mentioned. And they run in and they immediately go upstairs and they find a bloody mess in the child's room and the kid's not there. So they search. There's 2 closets. They search in closet number 1.
What's behind closet number 1?
Decapitated head, the mother's. Yes.
What's behind closet number 2?
Behind closet number 2 is the bloodied boy. And clever kid, probably got great grades.
Clever devil.
He just acts as if a murderer had come in and slaughtered his family and he hid from it. And so the police suspect no foul play, and I would just assume that it was a cold case and got
1942, no fucking wonder they didn't catch the Boston Strangler. This goddamn fine police work.
Yeah, this is a shut
This
case.
kid's covered in blood, open and shut case. Of course his family's killed. It must have squirted under the door into the closet and got
Why is there a bunch of pornography in this kid's room?
mirrors busted. The kid's unscathed, but he's covered in blood.
Bunch of penthouse in the kid's toy box.
Yeah.
Fucking, what?
The mom knew all the tricks. Did you see that? She's rifling through all the magazines.
She cleaned up the mess for him.
And she's looking under things. Like, the mom knew all the places that my mom didn't know about when I was a little kid.
My mom did. Some moms just...
You know, let me tell you a story
Snoopy,
really quick, because we're not up to anything else.
Sure.
We're not trying to set the scene here for the movie, but one time my brother, he'd got a hold of his first magazine like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know, he might have been in 6th grade.
Was it like classy, like Playboy, or was it like raunchy, like Penthouse?
I think it was like Penthousey.
Oh, boy.
This is definitely way outside the statute of limitations, so I'll just mention how I was an accomplice. I wasn't 18 either, but anyway, That's a boring part of the story, and that's just legal disclaimer. Now we're to the juice. So he needed somewhere to hide this thing, so I was like, okay, here you go. I took the cover off one of my guitar magazines, and I glued it on for him over the thing, so it looked like a legit guitar magazine cover, and I put it in his bookshelf with all his other stuff. It looks just like a guitar magazine. Nothing wrong with that. He had a bass.
That's genius.
He owned a bass.
Genius.
And the dumb fuck got caught because my mom was putting his clothes away, and he fucking hid this thing under his clothes in his top drawer, and I said, what? I was like, why? And he was caught. So this sort of police work, by the mom at least, is way better than the cop police work, which is a million times better than my mom's.
Sure.
That's it. I digressed. You can continue.
The great trend that we see in these movies.
He is a cop, and he's learning impaired. He's the retarded policeman.
That's me.
Every single movie we watch, these cops are just fucking bozos. And I think it's funny.
You got to learn by experience, I guess. And that's how Boston's Finest did it.
Yeah. Well, after the boy is pulled out of the closet, then it jumps to the credits, and I find the credits quite classy. Cool bloodied font with a still image of a butcher knife.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty classy. I like that. And then it just immediately jumps to 4 years later.
40.
40?
40
or was
years
it
later.
4?
40.
Okay, I think
I wrote this down with stars.
Good.
They decided to send him to his aunt's house, and then 40 years later, poof.
Yes, boom.
Here we are.
Okay, well, 40 years later, you can assume that the individual in the frame is the killer. He's wearing a black jacket, black gloves, and the camera is tilting and panning right below his neck, so you can't see his face, so you're assuming it's the killer.
But he's got a nice top hat on, nice little, not top hat, but nice little dress-up hat.
Yeah.
He's dressed like either Carmelo Anthony out on the town or Michael Jackson on Single Boys Night. He's looking good.
Yeah. Oh, Carmelo Anthony. Wow.
That stupid hat he always wears.
Yeah. But yeah, it shows this killer, and he pulls a box out of this dresser drawer. And this box is filled with items of his mother. Bloody dress that he had taken off her body. Bloody shoes, and a photo of his mother's face with a bloody X through it.
And he's able to grip these pretty well wearing gloves.
Yeah, definitely. And as he sifts through the box, he has flashbacks of murdering his mother. Now, it then cuts to a girl this is a really weird scene.
There's an X through the mom.
Yeah, it's
face.
in blood. Like,
Yeah.
it's in blood over her face. And then it cuts to a really weird scene that I didn't really find necessary, but it's still kind of cool. Fits the cool little flashback kind of thing. But it cuts to a girl riding a skateboard around the campus. Now she is riding through and cruising, and she turns this corner, and there's these two guys holding this big sheet of glass, like to repair a window or something. And she can't stop, so she immediately just breaks through it. And it then flashes back to the child comes mother again when she breaks the mirror.
That's true.
Yeah. But
I have a couple things to get into with this.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me start with this.
Yes, sir? Is it
Oh,
necessary
God
for me
damn
to
it, I
drink
said
my
the
own
N-word.
urine?
Probably not.
No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
And let me follow up by saying this scene. Okay, so the lady on the penny board is cruising the streets. The music's playing that sounds like when you own a warped record and it warbles and changes pitch.
Yeah.
This as soon as she was writing and did the old classic gag where they were moving that fucking mirror piece of glass gag, you know, where somebody like let's move this big piece of glass across the road so somebody can crash into it.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, this is maybe 10 minutes in. Yesterday when I was watching it, it was such a nice day out that I paused it and I went and rode my penny board around the block.
That's a good idea.
Then I came back to finish the movie.
That's classy. Did you reckon any glass?
Fuck no, I wasn't so lucky. Not in my neighborhood. Nobody's got such nice fucking mirrors. Need team lift.
But she breaks through it, like I mentioned, and immediately jumps to a flashback of his mother breaking the mirror in his room before he murders her. Now, the killer then starts putting the naked woman puzzle together again. And I think this is very interesting and a cool part of the film.
Where could you get such a cool puzzle? Like, it's like it's somehow a tasteful puzzle.
Yeah, it was before. I think it was because it's in the 40s.
Like
and
before they decided, like realized they couldn't put these out because men are perverts.
Before like pornography got really raunchy. You know, it was like back when there were still those magazines, but you know,
it was like a gentleman's affair magazine.
Yeah, it wasn't like bend over and spread your asshole open. Like it was more like there are ladies, ladies laying on the bed and you can see her breasts. Like it was just kind of classy, and I think
in the most tasteful pose they could get said person to do.
Yeah, like back then, the man of the house would buy a puzzle, put it together, and be like, yeah, with his buddies drinking beers. Nowadays, you just turn on Pornhub and fucking go at it. But
you and your pals. This is what we're doing on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Hey, you want to come over and watch some porn?
Only if you sit on my lap.
But it's I don't know where he got the puzzle, but that's pretty classy.
Probably from his fucking dad. Apparently, he's a deadbeat.
Yeah. I wish they would explain what happened to that dude. I guess they explained that he was on trip for business, but they didn't explain his creepy ways, which I would have.
Well, I don't know how creepy they were. I'm not seeing anything
just a man.
wrong with
It's
this
a normal
whole thing.
man.
I think that this movie has a message, just like a lot of these kinds of movies, which is simple. You get raised by your mom, you grow up to be a fucking serial killer.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the message. 1980s horror movies.
Yep.
Boom.
Done.
I'm out of here.
But the cool thing about this little puzzle he starts putting together is it's like a checklist of his murders. And he needs particular pieces to finish this puzzle. So it's pretty cool how it works. Now, it then jumps to a scene where there's a girl laying on the grass and she's studying on the campus. And she hears a chainsaw start and questions the man that has the chainsaw. She says, "Is it going to be long? I'm studying."
Can you do it in her voice?
Is it going to be long? I'm studying.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's
that
better.
right? Okay,
Way better.
Good. So the man, it shows the guy, and he has his mouth covered.
Of course.
And the man says, "Oh, I'm just trimming the bushes. It won't be but a minute." And so she goes back to studying. The man then just walks right over to this girl and just chops her fucking head off with the chainsaw.
Saws that fucking head off while she's sitting there trying to study.
Pretty gory. What do you think of the effects here?
I think the message behind this scene, I know you wanted the effects. I'm going to just tell you about the message. Don't waste your life studying because it could be your last minute. I also thought the effects were pretty cool. I liked it. I thought all the kill scenes were fucking sweet.
Mm-hmm. That's a good message.
I think Carlo or whatever his name is.
There's a few messages in this.
There's a lot.
We'll get to it, but an anti-smoking kind of thing I caught in this, which is quite clever, but we got some time to get to that later.
Join us in hour 2 if you are only interested in hearing that. Skip 2 hours ahead and we should be at that point.
Yes. It then jumps to a scene with the detective and the lieutenant of the police department, and they meet at the school to find some clues on the murder, because they've found that these murders, or the murderer, is related to the faculty somehow. So they talk with the dean and urge to speak with the professor that was actually teaching the girl that was murdered. Now, the funny thing here is, when I was watching this, my girlfriend's friend came over, and he's gay.
Oh, man.
He immediately saw the professor and said, that guy's carrying a Louis Vuitton bag. And we paused it, and he's carrying a fucking Louis Vuitton bag.
I appreciate that they went to such detail.
Yes, but I think, don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think my friend may have been correct on that assumption. But after that, it jumps to a scene with the professor, and this is where he's introduced. He comes walking out of his class, and there's a group of students outside the classroom just talking about random shit, and they bring up the fact that smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed's fantastic.
Quote,
yes.
I quote, "The most beautiful thing in the world is smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed at the same time." And that's said by a very filthy mouthed whore of a girl who may or may not get her, as some might say, comeuppance for having such a dirty whore mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could think that. You could even say it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in this case, she dies.
Yes, and on top of that, why do they have a waterbed? They have like a waterbed in the weight room or something.
They do. I don't know if their plan is to do it in there. Also, the fact that they go up to the teacher and try to get him to talk about boobs.
Yeah, it's clear.
Do they know that he's gay? Because I thought they were hitting on him. I thought
they are.
I thought they thought oh, this is the hot guy on campus, and he looks like fucking the dad off Jumanji.
He looks like the hunter on Jumanji with that
same guy.
gnarly...
Did you know that?
No. It's the same actor. Yeah,
the same guy in Jumanji.
That's interesting. I learn something new every day, Steve. You just shed some light on that.
It's always the useless facts, though.
Yeah. As soon as you said that, I just put two and two together. I'm like, yep, same guy. But
he wasn't just waiting in the wings. He was still acting throughout the show.
Yeah. Now, I don't think that the girls know that the professor's gay. I think it's more of a secret, and we'll talk about that later. But the girls, you can tell throughout this film, have a crush on him, and they talk about him all the time. But yeah, the whorish, potty-mouthed girl that Steve was talking about, she brings up a funny little joke that she's going to play on the professor, and she tells all the kids, "Hey, watch," and she walks up to him and she asks, "Hey, the kids are making fun of my pecs. Where are my pecs located? What are my pecs?"
What she doesn't know is that hers are covered by a mountain of fat.
I think this is the time frame where bras were just, they didn't make the women's chest look very appealing. I don't know.
I believe the correct term is brassiere. Am I saying that right?
I think you are. But she goes up and he points it out and lets her know what the pectorals are. Now, the professor meets with the secretary of the school, and she's just giving a little side talk a bit about the murder and discusses the missing head of the student and wonders what the killer's doing with the missing head, and then mentions that poor Willard found the body and had to deal with the situation. The professor then, which I found out finally his name is Professor Brown, is called in to talk with the dean and the police. And as he walks in, he starts getting questions thrown at him because he had classes with the lady, which sparks suspicion. And the dean requests that the professor, as well as the cops, keep the murders on the down low because they don't want any sketchy things going on with it.
They don't want bad publicity.
No, they don't. Place. All right. And so with them not wanting that publicity, they agree to the terms that they will not discuss this. And the police then leave the dean's office and walk with the professor to his classroom. Now, as they're walking around the campus, they start asking more questions about the girl, and they go to the teacher's classroom, and he shows the cops a real skull, like a real human skull.
Which was weird. They were riding this guy for all they had.
They were throwing out just whatever they could to kind of get you to catch the bait and think he's the killer.
This is a skull. Where'd you get it? Conveniently, it's from one of my students.
Yeah,
What's his
real.
name? He is not here anymore.
Yeah. I guess it was a student years back because they wanted to talk with that particular student because they feel it is a man on campus that's killing these girls.
Yeah, and they're missing heads.
Mm-hmm. And then it jumps. Would you call this a red herring, Steve?
Him?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They ride this one hardest of all.
Hard. And then the second one, which is Willard.
It
jumps to the next scene where he starts the chainsaw.
Yeah,
and he's just trimming down these branches at school.
Oh, and he's a goofy looking fuck.
He's really weird. He looks familiar, like I've seen him in something.
Like a fat slob that... Just a big, disgusting body that had to fill up some of the room in the ring at the Royal Rumble.
Like my Uncle Dave.
Do it again.
But Willard, the second red herring, starts the chainsaw and cutting down the branches. He then stops and cleans the blade with a creepy smirk.
And as the camera pans away, you see students boning as the fucking gardener just watches.
Yeah, so the dean walks up to Willard.
Oh.
And he starts questioning him about the work and why it's taken him so long to work at this school. And he's trying to get him to hurry his work up so he can leave because these murders are going on and he's obviously a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
And so he agrees that, yeah, when the work's done, and I'll go on and move on and work on a different job, and immediately starts fucking creeping on two people having sex in the middle of a campus.
3 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Also, he's like the worst businessman in the world because he wants to take his sweet-ass time. And, like, he's also a terrible suspect. Like, if he wasn't so fucking weird-looking,
yeah,
there's no way he could be a suspect. Like, this guy's just lingering around. He's always seen, like, in the...
His one eye closed.
Yeah, cockeyed bastard, and he's always seen, like, up to trouble. Like, if I've learned anything from the Starsky and Hutch movie, it's that the dirty people, as in the guilty people, they always look so clean.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those are the ones you got to worry about. I mean, the regular good-meaning guys, they're always in, like, terrible situations.
Oh, yeah.
Seemingly. And so this gardener would be... He's a character of interest as we continue to unfoil who the killer is and then spoil it for you.
And you're right about his whole work ethic. It's
lazy.
Yeah. Well, he's obviously getting paid like a salary.
Yeah, you
like he's not getting paid hourly, and he even says that. It's like, yeah, but what are you fucking lollygagging?
Yeah, you rush through it. What are you doing? If my boss told me I could do all my work and go home when I'm done and still get paid for 8 hours, I'd fucking be done, you know, and half the time.
And I think that's just part of the setup here and trying to make the audience feel that he is a red herring or, you know, possibly the killer. But
they just want to keep loading on persons of interest.
Mm-hmm. Now, as he gets lost in a daydream watching these two students have sex on the lawn, it jumps to a scene with the killer again. An obscure camera angle right below the head so you can only see the coat and the boots. And the killer is putting more pieces of the puzzle together. He then walks off, and he's somewhere in the school. And you can tell that from here, he actually walks into the library. And it doesn't show who the killer is, but the students brush him off because they know who he is. So,
oh, it's you.
Yeah, so they know who the killer is, and it's quite interesting because you don't. And so I like that whole aspect.
They give you the classic slasher move.
Mm-hmm.
This happens in Happy Birthday to Me also.
Yes.
Everybody's like, oh, it's you. What are you doing? And then
I think
trouble ensues.
Yeah. Now, with the scene here in the library now, there's this hot blonde, and she tells her study mate, which we find out
USA
is...
girl.
Yes.
She's got a USA sweater.
Yeah, yeah. And she's studying with Kendall, the main character. Now, she tells Kendall that she wants him to meet her in the public swimming pool to get down and dirty.
Quote, I want to do it underwater, which... What the hell does that mean? I mean, you could do it underwater. in your tub. Now, are you saying you want to physically somehow hold on to bowling balls so you can be at the bottom of the pool? What are you talking about?
Yeah, try to do it underwater. You'd
get asphyxiated. I mean, these kids
cement
are reckless.
Just fucking put your feet in two 15-gallon buckets and throw cement in there and just jump in the water and do the nasty
cement shoe it.
Yeah. But anyways, she tells him he stays and continues to study. And before the hot blonde makes it to the pool, she is stopped by her friends in the hall. Now they all see Professor Brown and talk about how they all want to bang him because he's the hottest fucking the hottest teacher on the campus. Now, Steve, I really want to get your breakdown of how this gentleman looks. Can you describe his look?
For everybody out there that knows what my friend Jordan Vance looks like, this guy is a slightly less Hitler-looking version of him. So I guess I have to start from scratch because nobody knows what Jordan Vance looks like.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you've ever seen a dick brush past you really hard at the store, like Harmon's probably, or at any of the concert series that has any sort of hip band, you'll know the guy that I'm talking about. For everybody else that doesn't go to those, this gentleman, he's got darker hair. He's got sort of that face that the dad from Jumanji has, but he's got more of a like European /
it's very European.
I'm way better than you look about him.
Yeah.
And he has a bit of a mustache. It's not a Freddie Mercury manly mustache or Burt Reynolds style per se. It's more of like a definite split in the middle mustache, a little bit longer than the French bellhop mustache. And the guy dresses really nice. He almost looks like
a tweed jacket with like a turtleneck under it.
Yeah. He's like if a bellhop was rich. He like hangs out around bellhops so that you can be like, "Sir, can you take my bags?" And then he's like, "Fuck off.
I live here."
Like that kind of thing.
Just that voice, do that again.
Why would I do that?
Just picture what somebody like that looks like, and that's exactly what
fat.
This guy looks like. No, he's not. He's got longer hair with that heinous-ass mustache, and all the other professors wear, like, nice get-ups, like, nice suits, and he wears, like, these, like, khakis with a turtleneck and a tweed dress jacket over it with his Louis Vuitton bag.
He's saying something.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's saying is, I care about the way that I look, but I'm not approachable. Don't ask me a question.
In modern day standards, he would look like a child molester. I feel like if you saw that guy, you'd be like, "Oh shit."
If the child was interested in expensive wines.
Sure. This is where the blonde finally stops talking about how she wants to bang the professor with her friends and decides to go to the pool. She goes to the pool, undresses, takes her top off.
She told what's-his-name to meet her there also.
She did, yes. She said, meet me at the pool because I want to bang you under the water.
Yeah, exactly. We did... I want everybody to be with us on this because
we
did kind of fuck around for a while there.
Yeah, so we got to make sure we're on the same page here.
Grab Asson's the name of the game, though. Mm-hmm. Continue.
Now, she undresses, takes her top off, and takes a little dip. Now, while she's swimming around, a man in a black coat, black hat, and black gloves creeps out of the shadows and grabs the cleaning net for the pool. One of those long, like, extended to, like, 8 feet poles with the net.
The kind you fish out dragonflies from your outdoor pool.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know why it's in the indoor pool. What's going to be floating around in there? Leaves?
And that's, like, the only time you see dragonflies ever. Yeah. Is when you have a pool in your backyard.
It doesn't have to be a legit one. You can get a child's pool and, like, where the fuck did all these dragonflies are fucking next to me? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's where I found bugs I've never seen before in my entire life is when you have a pool.
We got ours infested by some bat-like bug that lived under the water. Scary as hell. We had to drain it.
That's fucking weird, man. But the killer sneaks out of the dark. I like his getup. He's like, he has that classy hat and the jacket, and he just looks like a badass in the shadows.
Carmelo Anthony out in the town.
Yeah. I just want to, like, throw this in an editing software and just fucking Photoshop Carmelo Anthony's head on the killer.
Allow me.
Okay.
I'll do it in Paint.
Yeah. frame by frame. It takes you 5 years to do the whole film.
I could do it in, yeah.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I could do the whole film in 5 minutes.
Boom.
Wrap your head around that one.
It's skill, but he
Just
grabbed.
a minute.
Yeah, doing this.
Go ahead.
All right, so he takes that net and he heads over to the pool. Now he throws it over the girl's head and starts pulling her towards the side of the pool. And as she's doing this, she's struggling and kind of bobbing up and down under the water trying to get away. So,
But not trying very hard.
no, she's failing. You could simply just go underwater and get away.
But pull him in.
Yeah, but he pulls her in, gets her to the edge and pulls her out. And she's kind of out of it. I guess she almost drowned or whatever, and she's getting to it and getting back. And as she sits up, he just fucking pulls the chainsaw and starts a chainsaw and walks directly towards her and chops her up. Then it jumps to a scene, and I never caught this guy's name. I just call him the fat dork.
Oh, yeah, that doofus.
Yeah. Now, the dork asks, he approaches a girl in the library, and he asks where Kendall is. Now, Kendall, like I mentioned, is the dude that was supposed to bang the hot blonde in the swimming pool. Now, the girl just looks at him and says that he's somewhere in the library, and the fat dork proceeds to ask the girl out on a date, and she looks at him like, I wouldn't touch you with a fucking 10-foot pole. Look.
I wouldn't fuck you with someone else's dick, pal.
Yeah. And then he after he gets that look, he provides a pretty funny comment, like something about his looks, and says, oh, I don't give a shit, and then just starts walking towards Kendall. Now, his objective here is to hand Kendall a note that was left at the dean's office 30 minutes prior. Now, Kendall reads this note and looks concerned. Now, the dork asks if it's bad news, because if it's bad news, he'd want to kill himself before he was the one that gave the bad news. And I thought it was kind of clever that Kendall says, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. And the guy says, well, I'm too young to die. And then he just walks out. There's a lot of cool one-liners in this.
I see. Break that one down for me.
It's pretty cool, the whole theme of death in this, and he's just talking about how, oh, man, I'd kill myself if I had to break the bad news to you.
About somebody dying?
Yeah, and then he says, oh, you're okay. And he's like, oh, good. I'm too young to die.
I hated that guy. I was hoping he'd off himself just for fun.
He was a douche. Well, he was kind of a douche, but when I heard that line, I immediately thought he was going to get murdered, and he doesn't.
That's a fucking...
But I still thought it was a cool line. It is, but that's cool because you think he's going to die, and you don't have this movie all together like you thought you did.
Spoiler alert.
Boom. Now, jumps to a scene with the killer walking out of the pool area with a bloodied bag. A bag that you wouldn't be able to fit a full body into, so he's got some parts in there. Now, he drags this fucking bloody bag into a walk-in freezer, and as he's doing, he's breathing heavy and just sounds like a giant creep.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as he walks into this freezer, there's the victim's head that he had chopped off earlier, and he's using this freezer to gather up all these random parts. Now, we then cut to a scene with Willard, and Willard walks into the school pool area.
He's the wacky gardener.
Yeah, and he's kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time here.
Always.
Yeah, so he walks in with hedge trimmers, like the Burning, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this was before the Burn. Well, when did Burning come out?
The Burning was 81.
Yeah, so it was before.
Weinstein's.
So I think that maybe this was paying a little
He did have
respect.
a lot of the same clothing.
Yeah. But anyways.
The killer, I mean.
Willard walks in there with those shears and sees a chainsaw covered in blood. And as he looks to his right, he finds that Kendall sees him hovering over this chainsaw and immediately thinks that he's the killer. So Willard starts chasing Kendall, and Kendall runs out and gets the police officers and runs back in, and Willard immediately starts fighting the police officers.
They get in some retard fight, fights.
Which I don't understand why he started fighting the people.
Because he's a hungry young fighter.
Or retards, I hear, have the strength of 10 men, and they just like to, I don't know if it's their nature to just fight. Maybe he got scared.
I think that's probably true, because he is very strong, and he also seems very scared, and he also seems a little not there.
Exactly.
My brother, he is is a retard.
The cops fight him off, and then they finally arrest him. Now, the police find the remains of the chopped up girl next to the swimming pool. And this is pretty gory.
Oh, yeah.
It took just a huge amount of parts just laying there, just covered with a piece of plastic so you can actually see it. But the funny thing is the police bring in the professor to ask him some information about the type of crime that's been committed, asking the professor if these multiple killings are related just by the cut wounds of these torn pieces.
Can you have a look at this chainsaw?
Yeah.
Would you say that this chainsaw did it?
And he says, I'm no pathologist, but I think that that these are related. It's quite elementary.
And that's definitely how he talks.
Yeah.
That sounds like a direct quote. And the only thing that the people at home should be imagining while Trevor said all that was that his voice was not in sync with his lips.
Yes.
Because that's what happens.
That's a huge problem, and we'll touch base on this on the rating.
It makes me uncomfortable.
It's weird, and I didn't research it enough.
This is filmed in Boston, so I'm thinking, like, why didn't they just, speak and record it? I think, it's not. They didn't have the luxury nowadays where you can film something and it captures audio for you as well. Well,
they were obligated to record audio for it as well, and I tried to read about it, but I found like rumors and stuff that they just lost the audio track and had to like completely dub all of the voices for it again. Well, I would like it to be known, the record to show that my opinion would think that the best way to record your overdubs is to not be balls deep in the microphone every time you're talking, because then it gets weird. It's kind of like on Dune. It's just not realistic. When they're thinking, like when you don't whisper in your own head, you just talk at the same level. Oh, that's so fucking. They're just like, Dune. I wonder what he's doing. I don't know. But like on this show, you don't get out of my mind. You shouldn't always be choked up on the microphone. Sometimes you're in a room with a pool, and so you're just sort of like, hey. Like that. Yeah, the editing on the voice overs is very very personal, even in situations where they're far from the camera. Yeah, I feel like everybody should have been recorded far away from it, but that is just me. Yeah. But the cops now want to see the dork and Kendall. So the cops start walking down the hall away from the crime scene, just discussing the question as to what the killer is doing with these missing parts. And they state that it's fucking creepy and they want to figure it out. Now, the lieutenant and detective meet up with the dean of the college, and request that a professional tennis player be a detective/spy at the school to help them out with this murder mystery. Nothing wrong with that. Sounds like it could be the beginning of a buddy cop movie. Yeah. I noted, though, the kids that they were interviewing were pretty fucking sketchy. Like, they could have played that off better. Like, I don't know anything about killing. Yeah, they were pretty laid back about it. But they were nervous, too. It was weird. Yeah. But the cops question the boys, and they bring up the letter. The boys bring up the letter, and this throws the dean of the college under the bus. Now, the letter was left at the dean's office. And with that sparking curiosity, the cops question the dean about the letter and why it was there. Now, the dean complains about the letter being left at his desk and states that he doesn't have time for this, he's busy, and he doesn't like when students leave mumbo-jumbo garbage crap at his desk. And the cops state that the letter was left by the killer, so Kendall wouldn't show up at the time of the crime. And then the cops start questioning... Now, the cops start questioning why Kendall actually showed up at the swimming pool when he read the letter saying that she was no longer there. So, I mean, there's red herring flags thrown up. Pretty much every character you're introduced to is a red herring. Yeah. So the cops request they keep the murders on the down low. They request that Kendall and his friend hush about it. Is it the cop or the dean? The dean does, but the cops also say it too. They tell the kids. Like, I guess that makes sense for the cops to do it because they don't want the guy to catch wind and then like head disappear. Off. Yeah. So the cops tell Kendall, because as the film moves forward, Kendall is quite an ally for the police.
They lean on him pretty heavy.
Yeah.
He is Boston's
He's buddy cop.
finest, not paid volunteer worker in the clink.
Exactly. Now, the detective gives Kendall his card and says, "Oh, if you hear anything or if you need anything, give me a call."
Sext me,
Mm-hmm.
bro.
Sext me. We jump to a shot now with the camera at the feet of a man wearing boots with a black coat, walking through the school, breathing heavy, and watching the girls' dance class. Now, a silhouette of the black hat you can see through the dance class window of the door as he's watching and breathing, and I thought that was kind of cool. Now, the instructor of the class throws a break and stops the students from dancing, and one of the students states that she has to use the John.
Did she say John or can?
She said John.
I thought that she said something weird.
Yeah.
John's a weird one.
It's just so weird to think about, like classroom girls. Oh, I gotta go take a shit.
I gotta fucking drop a dump.
Now, she walks down the dark hall.
I don't even know men that usually say that.
Oh, I need to take the fattest shit right now.
Like, at work, like, people don't usually say quite that until you're in closer proximity to the bathroom.
Sure.
Then you might see somebody you know and they say that, but announcing it to a group of bunch of people?
Unacceptable.
I don't know that, young women would do such a thing.
True. Now, that girl from the dance class, she's really got a turtle head poking out, and she's trying to find this bathroom, running through the halls, and they're quite dark.
I've got a turtle head poking out.
Now, the killer is following her as she's running through. She finds this door, and she goes to open it, but she hears something, and she looks back behind her, and all of a sudden the door in front of her opens, and she's alarmed. And
Surprise, motherfucker.
And she finds that it's just another girl leaving the restroom, and they have a little chat, and then she goes into the bathroom and takes her fat shit.
Well, here's the way that I saw it. When a girl says she's got, or a man for this matter, I don't want to be accused of being a chauvinistic pig. When a human says, in this case, she's a girl. So when a girl says she's got to use the can and then gets startled by someone coming out of the door and says, "You scared the shit out of me."
She
What does that mean? She's like turtleheading it at this point. Now, did she shit her pants? Is what I wish the director would have explored.
She was wearing white tights, so it would have been great if all of a sudden you just saw brown shit.
Big lump just hanging down.
Yeah, she gets startled and possibly shits her pants. And she goes into the bathroom to finish the dirty deed. Now then jumps to a scene with Detective and Kendall. And the detective finds that it's a great idea for Kendall to meet a psychologist. And this psychologist isn't there to help him with his problems after seeing the dead body, but to talk about the killer. Kendall may not know the killer. The psychologist wants to know what he had seen to kind of build up
a psychiatric profile.
Sure. Took the words out of my mouth there. It's perfect, but that's what they want to do. Now, the detective then meets up with a worn blonde. She looks a bit haggard.
She's about 15 years past her prime.
Yeah.
That's being generous.
But
she's seen some shit. She's probably had to do some shit for cash at some point.
Yeah, her career may have taken a downward spiral, and she may have had to have sex for money.
To the lawn janitor guy, lawn groomer.
Oh God.
He befuddled her with his crazy eye.
Yeah. So funny thing here is that this worn blonde woman is taking a bit of time off from her professional tennis career to be a undercover detective for the police department.
She's half tennis instructor, half cop.
Now she asks
this summer. Go ahead.
Now she asks if this job is dangerous, and the cop says, "Of course it is." Now, Mary Riggs...
He also made it sound like you wouldn't be getting paid for it either. So like volunteer only or something.
Yeah.
What is this? You going to pay me for this or what?
Yeah. Her name is Mary Riggs.
A stipend.
The detective and Kendall are the only ones that know that Mary's status at this point.
That's a little dicey.
And she gets pissed off. She mentions she pulls the detective aside and says that why did you tell Kendall that I was doing this? And he says, "Oh, I trust this kid. This kid."
He trusts him 100%.
Yeah, and then he just advises that Kendall keeps an eye on Mary.
Yeah, we can't afford enough cops over here, so we've got a pro tennis player that we're going to insert at your school, and we can't afford anybody for backup for you, so we're just going to go ahead and get this kid that's seen some shit. His girlfriend was killed.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and lump him in there, too.
But jumps to a scene where we are introduced to Sylvia. Now, she's from the Boston Globe. She walks into the police station because she wants to talk with the lieutenant and get some information about the murders at the school. Now, the lieutenant denies any murders and tells her that he has no fucking time whatsoever to give to her. Now, we jump to a scene here with Riggs and some other broad playing tennis. Now, she's probably like the best high school player or whatever, but they're playing this tennis match right in front of, it seems, the whole student body. This was the weakest fucking tennis match I'd ever seen, Steve.
Dude, I have written in my notes, I'm no tennis expert, and I wrote that in my notes for some reason. I'm no tennis expert, but those are some high hits. What the fuck is that? Aren't you supposed to get them low and close to the net?
And just walking to the fucking tennis ball.
Yeah.
There's a reason you see these female tennis stars with fucking mammoth legs. They run, they don't walk.
Even the ball guy doesn't walk. He dives out at the ball and throws it back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's the weakest tennis match I've ever seen. Now, as the audience...
Seen better runs in my shorts, right? Rip Torn?
The audience watches the event, and Sylvia from the Globe shows up to question people. The dean of the school immediately leaves once the match is over to go meet with Riggs to discuss her talent and congratulate her on the event. And she asks the dean if anyone knows of her position at the school. And the dean states that there is nobody but himself. So now we know that 3 people know that she is undercover. The dean then starts asking really odd questions.
Naturally, though,
yes,
to jump in real fast.
Sure.
Of course, the dean anywhere would have to know, because he'd be like, who the fuck is this person that's suddenly teaching?
Yeah.
Who is this?
Yeah, that's true. I guess he does have to know. But the dean starts asking her questions about how there was supposed to be 2 undercover women. You remember they first mentioned that there was supposed to be 2.
Yeah, there was going to be 2.
And she
I don't know where they thought they were going to drum up all these undercover women.
Oh, we just got 2 new teachers.
We got 2 new women.
Yeah, they look a little worn.
They know each other very well. They may have gone ass to ass.
But he asks some questions, and then Sylvia comes up and confronts Riggs and the dean for questions about the murders. And the dean denies everything, telling her it's all a joke and that nothing is happening and that she's wasting his fucking time. And shoos her on her way. We then jump to a scene with the killer once again pulling out the box from a drawer and putting more pieces of the puzzle together. At this point, if you didn't catch on from the beginning, this puzzle is kind of used as a body checklist. As he murders these girls, he's putting the parts that he's taking from these women and putting it on the puzzle. So he's getting like kind of a visual checklist. Hopefully that makes sense. Did I word that right?
That'll do.
That'll do? Okay.
That's descriptive.
Now at this point, he has the whole upper torso of the puzzle completed, which tells us he's halfway there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm no mathematician, but that makes sense to me.
50-50, yeah. Now, the lone student of the dance class, the one that had to take the giant shit, she is putting in some extra time and spending some extra time in the dance class alone to work on those moves.
It's because she missed so much time taking that fucking deuce. She has to catch back up.
Now, with her practicing these dance moves, the killer continues to breathe heavily and watch her through the window.
He violates a door unlike anyone ever has.
He may or may not be touching himself in weird ways.
Touching his chainsaw, if you get me.
Uh-huh. As she's dancing, she starts hearing noises outside the door. She then runs off the radio and starts putting her clothes and shoes on, like, frantically. Like, it's frowned upon being in a room by yourself at school or college.
Yeah,
for that matter.
And because they don't know about the murders at this time, which is the only reason you would be hurrying.
Yeah.
But if you were nervous wouldn't you keep on your like dancing shoes in case you had to run? Because she's got
Sure.
higher heels on than she puts on.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
I just don't understand why like she's trying to run away. Like,
Maybe she heard that raggedy ass fucking breathing.
oh yeah, like some freak breathing. Watching her.
That.
Yeah, exactly. But as she's putting on all of her clothes and shoes, you notice that the killer's walking around trying to find another route into that room. Now the girl hurries to leave and doesn't want to be caught in the dance room super late. So she turns off the light and walks out the front door. And the killer walks in the room through another door. The killer walks out the door that she walked through and starts following her through the halls. Now it jumps back and forth to the killer, and then the student running, and then the killer back and forth. And then finally the student reaches the elevator. And she waits for it to come up, and she's startled by a man in black. But she notices that she recognizes the man in black and thinks nothing of it. And we don't see him, but once again, that whole thing ties in here with them knowing who the killer is.
Right.
Who the killer is.
In her mind, then, since she doesn't know about any of the killings,
Sure.
and she's running from someone, wouldn't said person, only other person in that wing of the school, be the one you're running from? So
sure.
She's literally stumbled upon, because she doesn't know about the killings, the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So she doesn't even act nervous. So I'm saying, why would she rush out of the dance studio when she doesn't know about the killings and sees a guy? Because in her mind, this is the worst case scenario. She was caught down there, and it's not a thing.
See, yeah, that's
Is this terrible directing in the fact that she thought they couldn't keep it straight and were like, oh yeah, you're running from the killer?
Sure.
Like, is that what happened and nobody was on the same page?
Yeah, like, that's a good point, because I don't think that's explained well enough. What I got from it is that she just wasn't supposed to be there late, and she was trying to, like, avoid being caught or getting in trouble for being somewhere she's not supposed to be. But then you could take it in that point, too, that it was just the continuity's garbage and just it's kind of poorly directed.
Yeah, and if I was caught somewhere I wasn't supposed to be by somebody of authority.
Sure.
Or anybody, for that matter.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh, hey, or something, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody's me, but that's... You wouldn't just be like, oh, what's up? It's you? Like...
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, hey.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
And
she doesn't do that. And I think that it was kind of poor direction, because I think what they were trying to do is creep her out about the killer or whatever and say, oh, the killer's chasing you. And then
when you know who the person is, you feel like you're safe.
Yeah. And that's what happened. I think the person that's the killer kind of puts her at ease. But she's
not for long.
Yeah, she's introduced to a giant ass chainsaw that he just hides behind his back.
Been squiring this fucking chainsaw around like it's his goddamn date.
Yeah, so he revs up the chainsaw right in front of her face and starts hacking her to pieces.
In the elevator.
Yep, in the elevator. Now, Kendall and the cops hear the commotion because they're at the school and head towards the scene and notice that the door's locked. So Kendall gets through the window and lets them in. They reach the elevator and open it up to find a mutilated body, and that mutilated body is missing an arm. So another piece is taken for the puzzle. Now the cop starts throwing up. He definitely doesn't have the stomach for the job, and Kendall requests that they get the lieutenant and detective here so they can go over it. Now, I guess the girl they pull out of the elevator is still alive, but before they can get any information from her, she dies. Yeah.
Critical condition.
Yeah. But Professor Brown then walks into the murder scene after the murder, and the cops find that suspicious. They then ask him where he was, why he was there, etc. He states he heard the commotion and needed to check it out. Now, after the cops walk out, the dean walks in acting a little suspicious. Now, Lieutenant advises the detective they put the police department's full budget on this particular crime.
And keep in mind, they don't have a big budget because they got a kid volunteering for them.
Yeah, they have an undergraduate doing dirty deeds for him. But he also requests that Kendall continues to keep an eye on Mary. Now, jumps to a scene with a girl screaming just bloody murder. And we find out that it's just the penetration of Kendall's penis.
I guess so. And she even, once they're done with that, he's getting ready to leave. And she's like, I'll control myself, Kendall, if we do it again.
Yeah, she says, you can gag me, I don't care. But she's screaming a little too loud for Kendall's liking. And
fucking Piccadilly whore.
Kendall's definitely he's definitely hitting up every woman he possibly can. And we find out that he's got the hots kind of for Mary.
Or anyone with a gaper.
Yeah, anyone with the curtains. But as he gets up, because Kendall's making too much noise, he looks out the window and he sees Mary walking around in the dark. Now the girl is just begging for the D and tells Kendall, like we'd mentioned, that he can gag her and continue on with the sexual activity, but he refuses and goes outside to get Mary.
Not before you catch a glimpse of his man member, though.
I didn't catch that.
Well,
it was plain as day.
You weren't looking in the right place, bro.
That's true. Now,
you watch this one with me, I'll wear sweats and you can sit on my lap.
I'll pause it. You will zoom in.
Call the boys over and watch some porn. As you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. But as Mary walks outside, the killer is stalking her in the dark and following her. Now, he has that chainsaw in his hand. I would assume that this killer is quite muscular because he carries that fucking thing everywhere.
Yeah. It's basically his go-to move.
It is, yeah. Now, Mary finds that she can feel somebody walking around out there watching her. So she starts walking around a bit more cautiously, looking around. And she's met in the dark by Bruce Lee.
Oh, God.
This was fucking weird. But literally, a guy that looks like Bruce Lee comes out of the dark and starts fucking doing karate moves on her. And she pulls out some mace and he knocks it out of her hand. And she immediately hits him in the head and knocks him to the ground. And
I thought he was standing over her and she kicked him in the balls, but
it's, maybe I mean that's possible.
It's hard to say. This whole scene confused the shit out of me.
Yeah, it was really weird. But anyway, she knocks him to the ground and he seems unconscious. And all of a sudden,
he does the Liu Kang nonstop.
Yeah. The bicycle kick. All of a sudden, a chainsaw noise goes a-blaring, and before the action starts, we find out it's actually not a chainsaw. It's actually just a motorcycle that Kendall owns. Fatality. Kendall pulls up to Mary, and we are introduced to this Asian of sorts laying on the ground. As he stands up, Kendall says, "Oh, this is my karate teacher."
And he dresses in karate outfit all the time.
Yeah. And the karate teacher explains that he was just jogging outside and I guess was giving Mary a hard time. Now, Mary hops onto the motorcycle with Kendall and takes off. We then notice Sylvia is nosing around the school, trying to get more information on the murders. And the killer isn't far behind her with the chainsaw. He's lurking in the dark. Now, Sylvia finds an unlocked door from outside and walks in. And the killer obviously follows Steve.
Yeah.
Now, Sylvia snoops around the school and finds a workout room with a fucking waterbed in it. Still kind of confused as to why the waterbed.
Reason.
Yeah. She's walking around in this room. All of a sudden, the light outside of this room turns on and the door slams. And the killer comes in with a knife this time. He doesn't want to wake the students, so he's going to keep this one quiet.
That's weak.
Yeah. But anyways, he starts chasing her and they're fighting. She's fighting him off on this waterbed and he starts stabbing her and popping the waterbed at the same time. And it's all in slow motion.
It's a great waterbed kill scene.
It is. This is a pretty cool scene. I've never seen a classy, I don't know. I've seen some waterbed scenes. I first thing I think of is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, Mrs.
Yeah.
What's her name?
I can't remember either.
I can't remember.
Man, name dropping. We're struggling. But this is pretty
Nancy's
fucking
mom,
cool.
Either way.
Yeah.
Mrs. Alcoholic.
Now, this is a pretty cool kill scene. It's all in slow-mo, and he's stabbing the waterbed, and water splashing up with fake blood, splashing up. And she fights him off a bit and turns around and starts trying to get away, and he grabs her and stabs the knife through the back of her head out of her mouth.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. He then
That's exactly where I hoped the knife would go.
Mm-hmm. He then drags her off the waterbed. Then we see that Kendall walks Mary to the door and wants to plant his seed. He gets kind of upset and asks her a question. Aren't you making coffee?
The fuck out of here.
Yeah, like trying to fucking get in on this tennis star. She's a tennis star, Steve.
Keep in mind, she was playing tennis. She may not have showered since then. Also keep in mind, his dick still got the jam from the last one on it.
Exactly.
He just got out of bed, drove over there, and got her like... that seems a little weird.
Exactly. But the funny thing here is that she turns him down and closes the door right in his face. And when he turns around, he's startled by a ghoul. And this ghoul's the dork wearing a Halloween mask scaring the shit out of him.
For whatever reason, he's followed him right to the door.
I think this is the only kind of homophobic thing I get. This dude follows him around, kind of creeps him.
Well, aside from the teacher.
That's true. Aside from him, like, the dorky kid to me at least seems infatuated with Kendall. He's following him everywhere, and he's kind of one of those people you're just like, why the fuck are you following me? But I don't want to be rude.
Under his pants, he's got a flesh-colored underwear like Barbie's husband does, though.
I thought you were going to say he had a fleshlight.
No way. This guy's got flesh-colored, the underwear, like if you pull down Ken's pants.
Sure.
Just flesh-colored, like,
Yeah, it looks like skin, but it's.
It looks like underwear, but it's skin, like, built on.
Yeah.
That's what this kid's got.
Well, after Kendall gets turned down here and gets scared by his buddy, we jump to a scene where the killer's hauling Sylvia's dead body to the freezer. He then puts more pieces of the puzzle together. He's getting closer and closer to completing the puzzle. Now we then jump to the student, who we find out is Susie, playing tennis. And all of a sudden, a tune of some sort starts playing over the giant PA, just blaring outside.
Blasting the
whole
nerds
school
in the band, practicing their instruments on some sort of cassette tape.
Exactly. Now, this song's first introduced when Mary beats Susie's ass at tennis, and they play that. It's like the wind song or whatever. Yeah. But anyways, this starts blaring for some reason over the PA, and Susie wants nothing of it. She wants to get away from it, so she decides to stop playing, and she's going to go take a shower. Now, the killer has found his next victim and starts following her. We then jump to a scene with Kendall and Mary, and they're walking around outside, curious about what's going on with the music. Now, the girl is getting dressed in the locker room after a shower and is startled by a loud noise of a chainsaw revving. He literally just puts it in front of her face and pulls the chainsaw and starts it. And she looks up at the killer, and she says, "You?" Kind of like startled, like, "You're the killer?" Because she sees his face, but we don't see him yet.
Nope.
Man.
Dragging on makes you play a whole big thing in your head trying to decide who it is.
Yeah. The girl runs to she runs around the locker room, but finally runs to a restroom, and the killer follows, and she shuts the door behind her and locks it. And this reminded me of The Shining. The whole scene in The Shining where
as he starts chainsawing through the door,
Torrance fucking knocks the door down with an axe, but instead in this movie he does it with the chainsaw, cuts a hole in the door, and you can see her freaking out in there, and she starts pissing her pants.
Pees her pants. Old pee pants is what she'd be called if she survived, so she's lucky she died.
You ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
Peeing your pants is cool, then consider me Miles Davis.
Now she's crying and pissing herself. The killer saws the door open and cuts her in half. The chainsaw, the gore is kind of crazy here. He just like cuts her torso, and it's all up and close and looks pretty gnarly.
So is this supposed to be the killer's last half of the girl? Because you mentioned 50% of her was constructed. Was he just getting lazy? And
he's getting lazy.
What a fucking bum.
I think they're catching on. But, or maybe he just liked this girl's bottom half and
her
felt
lower extremities.
Yeah, he didn't need another.
Pissed on.
Yeah. Kendall and Mary run into Willard outside, asking about the music, and Willard states that no one touches the music but the audio guy. And they beg that Willard walks them to shut it off. And so he decides to help him out. And Willard and Mary start heading towards the audio room, and Kendall decides to head the opposite way and go into the locker room.
Even though Willard was like, wait over there. And like, you're like, where, dude? You're looking in two different directions because you got fucking cockeyed eyes.
Yeah. He's kind of... I don't know why you would trust him. Because at this point, is he counted out?
He's toting around a chainsaw nonstop. If
they
it had
mentioned
nothing to do with the chainsaw, he still looks like a fucking molester and a goddamn all-around creep.
Well, they mentioned in the movie that they don't have enough evidence to link him to it. However, they're like having him leave the campus, but he's still there. And then he just tells Kendall to wait. Wait here while I take this girl somewhere. I'm a big giant fucking mongoloid.
Like a wife beater.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. But Kendall doesn't give a shit and walks into the locker room to...
He wanted to make it a point to just go into the girls' locker room. That's all Kendall was doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was trying to do, and kind of a little creep.
Yeah.
But Willard and Mary shut the music off, and they head back towards where Kendall's at. And
keep in mind, though, before you get into that,
yeah,
this is the second time a cop has told a staff member, "Don't touch that because you're going to mess up the evidence." Second time, and they
because the
touch it anyway.
Professor touches the chainsaw,
and they just keep touching shit.
Yeah, Kendall comes across Susie, the tennis player, and she's hacked in half, guts hanging out right by the shitter. Now, Mary goes in to take a glimpse at it, too, and walks back out screaming bastard excessively.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. She says it like 6 times.
She doesn't say it enough, for my taste. She could yell bastard a few more times. That would do the movie well.
Yeah. I agree. She could say it a few times. And then she kept screaming. It was like peaking. Like, the audio was terrible. It was
clipping.
Yeah, it was pretty...
It's what we in the biz call it. Just kidding.
Yeah, it
but
was...
No, it is called clipping.
Yeah, clipping. It just sounded terrible, but... But the music was obviously a cover-up for the chainsaw noise.
It was a good idea.
Yeah, quite clever. But Lieutenant and the detective chat about the new murder over the phone, and the lieutenant suggests that they have Kendall work on the case with them because they simply trust him.
He trusts him with his life.
Yeah,
at this point.
And he knows, and they just assume that because he goes to the school, he knows everybody on campus.
They fucked all the girls.
Yeah, and he could definitely be an insight into finding who the murderer will be. Now, the killer takes this body and hangs it somewhere, and I believe he hangs it in this freezer.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts his mother's shoes on Susie's lower torso, but he isn't liking the feet. So I think he's got to kill one more person. Mary runs into Professor Brown leaving the school and asks if he'll walk her, I don't know if it's walk her home or to wherever she's staying because she's a little creeped out about the murders. And the professor starts talking shit on the dean. They obviously don't have the greatest relationship.
Especially because, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I was going to say something that hasn't happened yet.
I've done that about 3 times where I've had to fucking close my mouth. I've almost gave it away, but...
Well, I was just going to say, at a point in the movie, the dean also mentions that that guy is gay.
Yes.
And he doesn't have a problem with it. And so he was saying that, like, about it in an aggressive fashion. And then you got the teacher is like, fuck the dean.
Yeah. He immediately starts talking shit about the dean. And Brown suggests that Mary stops asking about personal information because she wants to know why they have a rough relationship. He just walks off and decides he doesn't want to walk her to her house or wherever. And all of a sudden, Kendall shows up and startles the audience. And asks what Mary's up to. And she just wants more information about when the dean's available or when he's going to be home, so that way she can meet up with him and ask some questions about Professor Brown because he seems a little suspicious. And before she gets the answer, Kendall states that he's going to be working at the police station looking at old records, and Mary compliments him on being a nice new little detective. But Kendall says that she can meet the dean at his quarters around 7.
So that's when he'll be back from his monthly trip.
Yes. Now we jump to a scene with a big giant picture of Ronald Reagan on the wall. Did you notice that?
Scumbag.
But this is where the anti-smoking, the detective, he hates cigarettes because earlier on in this film, the lieutenant smokes the cigars.
Well, does he? He always has them in his mouth, but I don't know that he ever lights them.
Yeah, well, at one point...
You there, give me some matches. And he never lights it.
Yeah, at one point, he has the cigar in his mouth, and he asks the detective, the gray-haired gentleman, if he could get some matches.
You're a fucking match, bitch. Why don't you carry around yourself?
And he says, I don't smoke, it's bad, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, I thought this was quite funny. Now, the gray-haired gentleman, the detective, starts talking to Kendall and says, oh, so you're going to help us out here with this case. You smoke? And the kid says, no, I don't smoke. Why, are you against it? And he says, I don't like my area being polluted, especially down here. He definitely doesn't fucking like cigarettes.
No, director hates smoking, hates women.
Yeah. Basically, what Kendall and the detective are doing is looking through faculty records, searching for more information on all the faculty there to see maybe if they can pinpoint murder. Now, we notice here that Mary heads to the dean's quarters. Mary is invited in when she knocks for a drink. That way she can comfortably ask the questions that she has for the dean. Now, the dean makes Mary coffee.
With fucking freeze-dry coffee.
Freeze-dry coffee.
Cheap fuck.
He seems like he's got money, so I didn't quite understand that.
Maybe he just hates coffee. He is, British.
He was making tea. He did state he was making tea, and she wanted coffee. But this is where you kind of get the idea who the killer is. Yeah. Yes?
I just want to know.
Sure.
The dean doesn't want to touch the cop lady as she walks into his house. And right there, I was like, oh, man. So, Trevor, after this next sound,
sure,
I want you to go ahead and tell us,
elaborate
on what you were saying. Spoil this movie.
Okay.
Who's the killer, Trevor?
So the killer's the dean. Now, the way we find this out is as he's making Mary the coffee, he starts pouring this poison into her coffee as he's kind of scream-talking to her from his kitchen.
Never trust anybody that won't fucking touch you.
The dean makes her coffee, brings it out, and she starts drinking it, and she's asking him questions about Professor Brown because she feels that he's the killer. And this is where he starts discussing Professor Brown's sexual orientation and states that he is gay, and that he also mentions they got in a scuffle and that Professor Brown tried to kill him.
But I'm a strong man, you see.
Yeah, that's like verbatim. But that's
okay. I thought he was coming on to her first.
Yeah,
I thought date rape drug he was applying.
Yeah, that would have been a funny twist.
I okay, he's bagging on homos. I thought this guy was just making a move.
That'd be a funny twist. Like all of a sudden the Duke Lacrosse team comes in, and we just find out that the killer's the Professor Brown. But that would have been a funny twist. But anyways, he poisons her, and it's not poison that kills you. It just paralyzes the victim.
Date rape drug.
Yeah, so she just, date rape drugs, you're kind of unconscious. You don't, right? How do they work?
The expert,
I've never
Trevor.
had.
Why don't you tell me about the date rape
I
drug?
don't know how they work. Don't look at me with that kind of eye. I don't know how they work, but I would assume that you're to a point to where you have no idea of what's going on, and she seemed like she was aware. She just was paralyzed. She couldn't move. Because while he poisons her, he starts plot dumping a bit.
Plot dumping, you say?
Yeah, he's plot dumping a bit. And then starts looking at her feet in the fucking creepiest way possible. He wants to chop her feet off.
He wants those feet.
Mm-hmm.
They just may fit in his mama's shoe.
Yeah, to complete his puzzle here. Good news, the detective and Kendall find some information about one of the faculty members changing their name. They call the records center or wherever they hold these records and get more information on the name change. And apparently they find out that the name change was the dean.
It's kind of weird that they would have changed names. Why would you do that? He got away scot-free from killing his mom.
I don't know. Maybe it was kind of maybe he just wanted to kind of cover his tracks. But I don't think that he would have needed to do that. But I don't know. But anyways, they find out who it is, and they decide that they need to head directly to the dean's quarters because Kendall states that Mary was going to go there. So they start heading towards the dean's quarters, and the dean pulls out plastic from a drawer.
We don't want to make a mess.
And then he starts rubbing Mary's feet while breathing heavy.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He wanted to make sweet love to her feet.
Yeah, I think what he wanted to do was get a little bit of ejaculate on his penis head. And that's the fastest way he knew how, which was rubbing feet.
Yes, and then proceed with lubing her feet up and fucking the arches of her feet. Possibly.
40-year-old virgin style.
Yes, exactly. We then jump to a scene with Kendall and the detective hurrying through the police station and grabbing the lieutenant. And then they head to Dean's quarters. Now, the Dean grabs a knife out of the drawer heading towards Mary. And Lieutenant, Detective, and Kendall find themselves at Dean's quarters just in time. Now, the lieutenant shoots the door open.
Classy.
Seeing Mary on the couch, all fucked up. Now, the Dean is hiding in the drapes by the window. And because Mary can't move or talk, she can't tell them where he's at. So the cops, the lieutenant, and the detective decide to go check the rest of the place out, while Kendall helps Mary to her feet. Now, she keeps trying to signal him over to the blinds with her eyes, but he doesn't take a hint.
Instead, he's just stupid. Worst detective work ever. Oh, you're walking again, huh? Doesn't that feel right?
Yeah, good. Yeah. But he doesn't get the clue or catch the clue there. So the Dean breaks through or just jumps out from behind the blinds and starts charging Kendall with the knife.
As some zany carnival / SNES. Or we'll just say NES.
Yeah.
No, we'll say...
I think it's like 8-bit.
Yeah. So NES music is playing. Like, that's the like boodin 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 kind of music.
Yeah. And as Kendall notices the Dean's charging with the knife, he just drops Mary on her fucking face, dude.
That's great.
She's still paralyzed. She just falls on the ground. She's just crying. The Dean starts overpowering Kendall.
He's very strong, you know.
He is. He almost was killed by the homosexual professor,
the
but
teacher.
he showed him. Now, right before the Dean puts the knife through Kendall's chest, a bullet pierces right between the eyes of the good old Dean, and it comes from the gun held by the lieutenant. And he has a cigar in his mouth when he shoots.
Not lit.
No, not lit. Dry cigar. Now, the lieutenant pats the young kid's cheek, kind of gives him a little slap, and says that hey, you're all right, kid.
You're all right.
And requests that a sheet be put over the Dean's body. The cops start pulling the place apart and investigating, and Kendall immediately rushes to Mary's aid while the detectives find the naked woman puzzle and has Kendall come over to check it out.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, so they say, this kind of job, you always find weird secrets and weird things, and he says, you should join the force. And right as Kendall walks up...
They get ready to lean over and have a talk about it against the wall.
Yeah, and what happens, Steve?
Well, when they lean over, they lean on a trap door, and it swings around because it's one of those fancy bookshelves like on Batman, the Adam West series, and it flips around, and there's a fucking naked woman in there, and her naked, sewn-up body falls all over the main guy, which his name is what?
Kendall.
And so this naked woman falls on him, fulfilling his every desire. This movie must have been made by men.
Yeah.
But really, comes out of nowhere.
The trapdoor opens up, and that nasty body falls on him. I noticed this a lot in 70s movies, and I found it odd. Well, Muff,
okay.
Yeah, which we see a lot of Muff, but
unfortunate.
You notice in a lot of 70s films they shoot things in slow motion, but have the audio regular speed.
It's a cool thing.
It is kind of odd. I like it, and this happens a few times in the movie, but this is one of the times where that body falls on Kendall, and it's all in slow motion, but he's screaming like at a normal speed. It's kind of weird. And the body falls on him, and you feel like this is the end of the film, but we're not quite done yet.
Not quite.
Now, jumps to the officers outside mingling. Then it jumps back into the house, and the officers have torn apart the house and covered the dead bodies. Now, the cops as well as Kendall decide that everything's wrapped up and that they are good for the night to leave. And Kendall grabs his coat, and as he goes to walk out, the sewn-up hooker reaches out from under the fucking sheet and grabs his dick. She grabs his manhood and just pulls it off. She just tears it
through
off.
his jeans.
Yeah.
And that spot where the zipper is like the thickest material on your pants.
Yeah.
Quite the grip. Kung Fu grip.
Quite the grip. So she rips his dick off, and then it ends with him screaming. And I thought that was really a really cool ending. Like,
it got Eli Roth's dick hard.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, that's the end. And I think Kendall got what he deserved being a man whore. Because
I don't get it.
Part of those women were girls that he
didn't wrong them, though.
Well, not that they were aware of. Because remember, he was supposed to meet that girl in the swimming pool, and actually the same day, he was banging that girl in the room that was screaming too loud, and then he was trying to get on Mary. So I think he was kind of that sleaze bag, and I think that's an explanation as to why that sewn-up corpse ripped his dick off.
I just think they wanted to jump the fucking shark.
Part 2, like set up a sequel. I thought that was a pretty cool addition. What'd you think?
It definitely ended it great because it was sort of dropping.
Yeah, it was.
It was declining until then.
It was, yeah. But that is the end. Now, I think this is the time where
you're gonna like this movie.
Yep,
Trevor, potential audience at home. If you like sending an axe through your mom's face, then cutting her to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And who wouldn't? Blatant overdubs. Ragged rapist-style breathing while watching women dance.
I'm fond of that.
Limp male penis. Tampering with evidence by putting your fingerprints all over it. Characters yelling, "Bastard!" repeatedly, causing clipping on a major scale. An overly trusting chief of police that never ends up paying off or blowing up in his face.
Yeah.
Saccharine references in film. During the coffee scene, she wanted saccharine for sweetener. Reminded me of Def Leppard.
Oh.
And finally, getting paid in cases of lollipops. Or at least your detective saying he's going to pay you in a case of lollipops. Fucking solved a murder, dude.
Yeah, he's definitely an asset to that team. But
he's worth at least a couple of cases of lollipops.
Yeah, well now he's going to need a dick replacement because can you work for the force and not have and be a man and not have a penis? Yeah.
You do, but I think that dictates you get your own separate showers.
Probably. Wow, Steve, I'm going to say that was the longest list of you will like this movie.
I couldn't help but put those in.
Now, about those overdubs, that was really odd. Because when I first started watching this, I was like, is this foreign?
Yeah.
But then you start watching their lips, and most of the time it's synced correctly. But, you see this a lot of times when,
that one
films are unorganized, and they're reading or they're saying the dialogue that's not on the script, and the director goes with that cut because he likes how they're acting. And then when they have to do the ADR and do the voiceovers, they didn't follow what was on the script. So you see an inconsistency.
Just a whole bunch of fucking terrible penis button around.
Yeah. And
it's almost like they had no access to the script.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In this case, they are saying it for the most part. The only trouble is just it's still not very synced up.
Yeah, some sort of issue with the audio. It wasn't foreign. It was just...
It wasn't the actual audio either.
Yeah. The original audio.
Yeah, it wasn't the original audio.
Yeah, so I think they just had to redub all the voices for the whole fucking movie because it was consistent. There wasn't one part where you could tell that they had the audio for that portion and then they had to do audio. It was just pretty bad. I don't think that was too big of a detractor, though.
No, I didn't notice most of the time.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. It kind of added.
It was like a kung fu movie feel.
Yeah. But I think now is the time for the rating, and I'm going to make you go first, Steve. Definitely.
Fine. Then why don't you explain it?
Okay, well, the way we rate these movies is with dumpsters. One being the best
The best
it could possibly get.
Because you have to have one dumpster.
You have to have one dumpster, and 5 being the complete worst, the giant dumpster fire. Now, Steve, out of 5 trash cans here, what are you going to give it?
Out of trash cans?
Dumpsters.
Okay. If I had to go out of dumpsters, it would be... I'd give it 1.5 dumpsters.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the over-the-top kill scenes, it would be a lot worse.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. I mean, like, it had me guessing. I didn't expect it to be the dean. Well, I expected it to either be the dean or the chief of police. I was thinking it's one of these two.
Interesting.
Because he was just trusting everybody. And I thought, like, on My Bloody Valentine, you know it's not Harry Warden running up, so you whack TJ with the thing because you're Harry Warden.
Yeah.
So I thought by the same token, yeah, okay, I trust this kid. Because of course you do. It's you. But I was wrong. But I did know as soon as he wouldn't touch that lady, even though it was kind of coming together anyway, and they mentioned that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was him. I was thinking, like, definitely him. Because he wouldn't touch her. It was weird. Like, he's like,
yeah,
he kind of weird.
Yeah, he had problems with women.
Not until he touched her feet.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1.5. The music was kind of it was something else.
Very odd.
I didn't like that they tried to bum rush you with the jump scare noise every single time you were outside in the daylight and somebody turns around. But it may have added to the fun. The killer he's okay. I wish he would have gotten dressed back up for the last scene.
That'd have been pretty fucking cool.
Or at least tried to get it, wrangle up his chainsaw when people were shooting your door, get your fucking chainsaw.
That would have been a great alternate ending. Like, if she was paralyzed.
Hide in the swinging back room.
And then just completely bring that whole, like, underground dungeon, like, freak show area to the audience's attention and maybe incorporate that somehow.
Yeah, or maybe he just gets away at the very end, and then the dick grabbing still happens, and then there's a sequel. I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. Like,
and then he explores dungeon area, but don't make the mistake of the Rob Zombie where you forget to put Dr. Satan in the second one. Well, you let him get killed.
It's such
off screen.
Yeah,
and nobody knows what the hell happened to Dr. Satan until they look it up, and then they're like, "Oh, looks like there's a deleted scene where he just kind of
dies
mortally wounded." From a spray...
got shot and it got infected and he died.
Right, an errant gunshot.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I think. What about you?
Nice. Yeah, I was teetering between a 1.5 and a 2. So, you know what? I'll agree with you. I'll go with a 1.5. The kill scenes were great, and I thought this was like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's cousin that was a bit more classy and not inbred white trash.
It was made for people like me that can't pay attention unless there's something ridiculous that happens all the time.
Yeah, it was more over the top. The story, I think, was the most valuable thing and definitely made you forget about a lot of the stupid things like the overdub, the subpar score. But the story kept you guessing. And that's interesting that you brought up that you thought it could have been the detective, because I started thinking that after
it ended.
Well, I started thinking about that after my first choice. Like, I thought it was either the dean or the dork, the kid's friend, and he was killing all these women because the reason I thought that is because you never really saw him, but he just became one of those characters that really didn't need to be in the movie.
Yeah.
And probably should have been killed off.
The problem was it was an hour and 26 minutes.
Yeah. And
you had to have some fluff.
Sure.
And that fucking doofus sort of is what held it up.
Yeah, exactly. But the score is subpar. I didn't mind it too much.
I wanted it to get more ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go with the ridiculous Mario stuff, go way ridiculous.
Yeah, the kill scenes, the audio as well as the score were just super unique. It's just really funny and wonky, but a lot of the random scenes, like when the girl's on her little skateboard fucking circus music or whatever just starts
with
playing.
a warble. It's like when you're legitimately like when your record's fucked up and it goes into a different pitch.
Yeah, that happens a few times in this, and it's a restored version of the film, but obviously they didn't restore the audio.
The audio was restored by just collecting all of their old vinyl that they left in the sun and then just recording it again off of it.
Yeah. The killer, though, I thought was a badass. Chainsaws are rarely used.
They're man's weapon.
But when they're used, they're not very cool. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of my favorite movies of all time.
The second Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they have a chainsaw duel.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, but I like the way this guy handles his chainsaw. And
they don't get ridiculous with it.
Yeah, and he's just super brutal. The gore in it was pretty cool. The special effects were pretty cool. But the story's what got me. I thought it was clever, put together well, and definitely something that I would recommend. As a horror fan, slasher fan, definitely watch it. Get your hands on it. Get a copy. Would you say? Rub
it all over your body?
Yeah, rub it all over your skin
and your feet.
Would you recommend this to somebody that's not a fan of the horror genre, or do you think they'd kind of be bored?
Somebody that's not a horror fan,
just it's Saturday. I want to watch a scary movie. I don't know if somebody that isn't a horror fan would particularly be interested, but the story's good enough to keep you into it. You don't get too bored, especially like some of the fluffy scenes. It kind of keeps you in.
Yeah, it keeps you guessing.
Yeah. But
why don't you, fan of non-horror movie, just try and guess who it is?
Yeah.
And do that.
Yeah. But pretty good. I was pleased with it. I was getting concerned because I got the t-shirt and I hadn't watched it all yet. And I'm like, if this is a pile of shit, I'm never going to wear this t-shirt.
I would have showed you. It's a good-looking shirt.
It is a good-looking shirt. But Fright Rags, they got some cool shit. Definitely check that out.
I feel like they don't have enough of a selection.
Sometimes, yeah, they do a lot of...
they keep taking them off. They just put different ones on, I feel like.
They do. They don't... A lot of the best shirts they come up with are limited edition one runs, and they sell out and they never do them again.
I think it's dumb.
And then some of the ones that they consistently do that I find are just too cartoony and boring. But they're special edition ones. I got that basket case one that's pretty cool, and then the pieces one that's pretty neat. But
I'm a rockabilia guy. I wear a lot of band shirts when I'm not wearing horror shirts, and I get those from there for the most part.
Yeah, they don't let you down. They're pretty good too.
The only problem is they take goddamn years to send you anything. And they don't tell you when something's on back order or when they can even estimate it'll be in.
Jesus.
It's when do you think it's going to come in? I don't know. It could be now. It could be... the guy made me sound like it could be fucking decades.
That's funny. Yeah, rockabilly, they remind me of...
Watch out for that 20% off they'll send you for the back to school.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm trying to get my shirts.
I'll have to check that out. But you remember buying rock magazines and stuff, and they have that page in there with the t-shirts that you can order from?
Yep, I got it in Guitar World.
You ever order something from there? I remember doing that 10 years ago. Was that Rockabilia?
Rockabilia, yeah.
Jesus, okay. I didn't... That's
makes
how
sense
I found out
about them.
That makes sense, because they had a catalog, and you could buy shirts, and you would send a fucking money order, and you'd get your shirt 8 months later.
Well, of course. First of all, they're going to take forever, and second of all, a fucking money order? Well, you should have just wrote them a check and kissed your money's sweet ass goodbye.
Yeah, it was pretty sketchy, but that's funny. I never knew that was Rockabilia, but that explains it. At least they've gotten a little better since their old magazine days.
Exactly, because they used to only allow a medium size, but years later,
but as America progressively gets
they
more obese,
there are plenty of men out there, grown manly men like myself, that require a small size. So they now sell you small T-shirts.
Nice.
It's a good story.
Yeah. Well, that's the episode. Definitely check out our other podcasts. Like I said, you can get them at Podomatic. You can get them and download them and stream them on iTunes. And you can always check out every single... Yeah, you can stream on YouTube. Oh, you're okay.
I did stream and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, you can stream them on YouTube, and we have every single episode we've ever done on YouTube. But in the meantime, we will keep you informed on what we'll be reviewing next. And don't hesitate to scream at us at Trevor Turpin, at Steve Norman, and at B-Movie Trash Talk. Well, that's it.
We'll be back soon to waste another few hours of your time.
Yes, but at least we fill you in on the movie rather than having you watch it.
Yeah, we'll waste it for you, and we're going to take longer in most cases than it would to just watch it.
Talk about the service of Rockabilia.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's it. Have a great night and keep it classy.
Bye.